So I feel like nowadays a lot of people will assume that if you make a ton of money with digital products, you either sell super cheap things on Etsy, or you've made it through Amazon KDP, or even you're selling like templates made through Canva through social media, but that has just not been our experience.
So in today's video, what we want to do is actually back up a little bit and talk about how we were able to hit our first million with digital products online in just under 2 years. And that's with kids, and that's working part-time, that's with like pregnant wives, all the stuff that you don't expect people that are millionaires or people who make $1 million to be able to do. And at the same time, we also want to be able to share with you guys some of the biggest mistakes that we made on this journey that kept us from hitting this 7-figure number even faster.
And so like Doug said, yes, we made a ton of mistakes. I think we spent probably over $50,000 in ad spend, not even through Etsy like a lot of people are doing it. It was just through traditional Facebook ads. I thought I needed to grow a huge audience, so I spent years doing that. So it was under 2 years, which we'll get to in a minute, for probably 5 years before that. And so yes, we made a ton of mistakes. I mean, there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and people are making it seem like it's so easy. And so today we're going to break down basically what we would have done differently and the mistakes that we wish we wouldn't have made. No regrets at this point, obviously, but we've learned a ton. And so we're going to talk about our journey, our story, and what we would do if we were starting from zero.
So before we get into it, be sure if you get any value from this, like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask us questions. We like to go back and forth with people in the comments, do all the usual stuff, and let's go ahead and get in the video.
If you're new to our channel, my name is Haley and this is Doug, and we basically teach content creators or even regular people who are looking to break free of the 8-to-5 grind, how to get started in digital products, how to potentially sell online courses or coaching packages, and basically create a lifestyle where you live on your own terms. We have almost 4 kids. I say almost because I'm pregnant with baby number 4. People were confused last time.
How can you have almost 4 kids?
And we work together. We work part-time hours, and we're able to live and work and be with our kids, honestly, 7 days a week, all because of digital products and the boom that is honestly happening right now.
So we're going to take this back like 7 or 8 years ago. And honestly, we were completely different people back then. It was pretty crazy. I mean, I was ready to climb that corporate ladder. I got a marketing job in LA. I was playing MMO video games all the time online. I wanted nothing to do with making money online or running my own business or anything like that. I was like living this dream at an agency job in LA where we drank beer and wine every Friday and we were traveling everywhere. It was like a TV show almost. So like this thought of entrepreneurship and doing my own business and trying to figure out things for myself was never really ever on my radar.
And like he mentioned, I was the complete opposite to that. So my dad had drilled into me that working for other people made you a sheep my entire life. And so I didn't want to create that reality for myself. I didn't want to have to listen to someone else until I was retired and then I was able to live the life of my dreams. And so we were freshly married with a baby on the way and we thought completely differently.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because Haley's dad was like entrepreneur, had like all the courses on books in like CDs and tapes when that was the thing back in the day. And my dad is still doing the same thing where he's working for, a government job. He's like 40 years deep. Okay. Yeah. And that's what he drilled into me. So even though we were married and super happy and like having fun and, our kid was on the way, it was conflicting ideals and directions and paths that we thought we should be going, which, it's a pretty crazy start, honestly, to the story.
So I quickly convinced Doug somehow to allow me to quit my job, which was around like $50,000 a year. And I told him that if you just give me like 1 year, I will make this money back. And I've done videos on this channel in the past about how he did that through creating user-generated content as a noob content creator when I had like no audience.
And this was before UGC was even like a term.
Yeah, I like
or
made
a
it
thing.
up.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And so I'll link that video down below if you want to hear about how I did that. It's not something I'd recommend in case ever you get questions about that, because it's just like a hustle and grind. It's not like a legit business in my opinion. But he quickly saw that I was able to make this money online, but it just wasn't enough to convince him because it looked like probably hell to him because it would take over his whole life. He wasn't able to work on his cars, whatever, play the video games that he liked at the time. And he was just burnt. Like the candle was burnt at both ends. He had 100 different clients. And so starting something online was just really for Haley. It wasn't for him.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to do was like work on my computer all day and then go home and work on my computer all day more.
So for the first year, I feel like I gave him a break. I was just like, he was very encouraging to me, but I wasn't like, we got to do this together. And that sort of shifted when I came across Amazon FBA. And so I started to just become absolutely obsessed in like 2015 with podcasts and YouTube videos. And so he finally joined with me. We watched our first webinar together. We didn't know it was a webinar. We thought it was just
crazy.
Like
I can't even remember.
An OG style. And so I was like, you got to watch this. And of course we were sold at the end on this like $1,000 course, cliche, right? So we bought it and he was like, okay, fine. I'll like invest the $1,000 I don't have. We were in student loan debt.
Then, I started to get into it. And it was kind of related to what I was already doing for work, had to do with search engine optimization and a lot of research. And there was a lot of tech stuff that was behind it. And I was like, actually kind of intrigued about this whole thing. And it got to a point to where we were down. We were going to do it. We decided to like, find a product, find a manufacturer, have it shipped over, check out samples, do the whole process. We took the whole course. We had the guy that we bought the course from look at the stuff. We like won a bonus thing for like our webinar. We know all the secrets now.
Everybody won the bonus.
I know, we like know all the secrets now, right? And so we started that process, and doing that, we actually made a bunch of money from Amazon FBA. And it was actually enough money. So Haley becoming an influencer and making money doing stuff online, and then me doing Amazon FBA was able to let me quit my 9-to-5 job. And when I quit my 9-to-5 job, I told my parents, and they like sighed, and they were just so, and if they're watching, I'm sorry guys, but like honestly, it was crazy. They were like almost like distraught that I quit my job. They're like, what are you doing?
I think
Where are
they
you
still
going
don't
with
understand
this?
what you're doing.
I know. And so that was one of the biggest things, just to plug a little thing in here. Like all of you guys that are out there that are like, my parents are going to question me, and people questioning me, and people make fun of me for having these dreams and aspirations. That was me.
They will.
They will, but that was me. I felt like I was letting them down. It was the craziest thing. And so from there, we started making money with Amazon FBA, and Haley started to grow her brand more, and we were doing really well together. And so Amazon was going really well until it wasn't. And basically what happened, there was a lot of shipping issues. There was a lot of things that were going on. We ended up picking a product that was pretty replicatable. And basically what happened was we got priced out by competition, priced out by manufacturers. And we just found out that physical products weren't the exact route that we wanted to be able to go. But it opened my eyes to doing a lot of different things.
The other thing that was really like the kicker and the biggest like reason why we switched over to digital products was because at the time I was growing really rapidly on YouTube. I was the cliche mommy YouTuber. Okay. I did this for like, I don't even know, 5 years before we, started to go into courses. So at this time we were also living off of me being a YouTuber. We were like this YouTube family, mainly me as like the face. And then he was doing Amazon on the side. But then one day comments got turned off on all channels. Well, not all channels, most channels with kids. It wasn't because I was doing anything weird, okay, on my YouTube channel. It was just because advertisers, I don't know, you guys can look up back in like 2018, 2017.
It was a blanket change, they thought, to like protect kids that were online and some other stuff.
And so me not having comments on my channel wasn't like, oh dang, I can't talk to people. It was more like, whoa, I do not own this business fully. Like I really don't. Obviously, duh. I don't own the YouTube platform as a whole. And so because of that, it was really scary for me. And I felt like I have got to diversify my income streams away from being an influencer. And so I was really desperate to make a change. I thought, well, maybe Doug will go back to his job. We didn't want that at all because we had experienced a life of freedom. We weren't even working that much. Should have worked more, honestly, hindsight. We were very young, like 26. I don't know. We were just living life. And at the time I was just on Pinterest, like a basic mom, looking up random stuff. And I come across an income report when nobody was doing them. Nowadays, they're like everywhere. It was like this no-name blogger writing about how she made over $100,000 a month teaching people how to blog. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, of course, because she teaches people how to blog. But she was, like I said, a no-name blogger. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people say you can make a lot of money teaching someone how to do that because you're the promise of money, right? No, that is not true. Not necessarily. We have a lot of people in our sphere that cannot make a dime doing that. And it really depends on your authority when it comes down to it. And so I noticed that she didn't have large social presences like I had killed myself for 5 years, being on stories every freaking day, posting YouTube videos nearly 3 times a week, working with all these sponsors, basically living the traditional YouTuber life. I realized, and I had a big like mindset shift, that I didn't have to do that to get paid. And so then we started to, create courses.
So with Haley finding that blogger that was doing courses, we decided to do more research on them, right? And we were trying to figure out, what are these courses? How does it work? What does the system look like? And I realized, we actually bought a course on how to do Amazon, which was actually very helpful as well, because we've invested in that. And so we kind of trusted it a little bit more, right? But what really accelerated the process was that pandemic thing that I don't know if we could still say that on YouTube or not anymore. Okay.
You're
but anyway,
free.
so COVID happened. And so when that happened, brands pulled out. There was a lot of stuff that happened. There were political things that were going on. And all of a sudden, our way of making money through YouTube just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were making, sorry to interrupt you, but we were making like 80% of our income through sponsorships. The cliche Hello Chef where Doug's in there chopping the chicken and I'm like recording like the end result or, whatever, like the deodorant, classic ones that people were doing back then. They pulled out like mostly all of our income. So we had to go into savings, and it wasn't just us. It was like all of my YouTuber friends who were doing this full time. And we were like, holy mother of pearl, like we need to fix this right now. So we made like a joint decision that we would give ourselves 3 months of not taking any other income streams, like not taking any other sponsorships, sell an online course and make it happen. Because we had seen the potential with other people we didn't even know. And YouTubers at the time were not selling courses. And so we thought, we got to do this.
So what we ended up doing was actually creating a course on how to help people to start and grow and monetize their YouTube channels. Okay. Things were kind of starting to look up at this point, and things were kind of starting getting better in terms of sponsorships or brand deals, but we just didn't want to take that risk again. Even if it was going to go back to 100% normal, we just thought maybe that might happen again. So why don't we diversify, launch this course? And the course was actually a huge success.
So I truly thought, being the insecure, just regular person that I am, okay, that nobody would buy it. You know, I wasn't Graham Stephan. The only other person that was selling a course that I knew of, and I know of so many YouTubers, and so does Doug now, but I really didn't think personally that it would do well. Doug had the utmost faith because he's like, well, you have this audience and it wasn't him, so it's not as like scary, and you don't have as much self-doubt when you're looking at your spouse, I'd hope, you know, but he had utmost faith, like, oh, Haley can do it, it'll be fine. First off, the only other person that was selling a course on YouTube was Graham Stephan at the time, and he had way less followers, but still, he was like the only person doing it, and he had more subscribers than me, way more proof. I thought, why wouldn't this, what everyone says, why would anyone buy my course when this person's selling it?
There's already one person, just one other person,
or even if there's 100 people still do, because they like you for you. I thought, I have no choice. Like, we're not taking these sponsorships. I have to make this happen.
So our first launch did about $40,000, and we were sold, it was like 100 of them in a couple of minutes because of a special strategy we used, which was a lot of fun. And so that was really cool to see. First launch did 40K, the second launch did 70K. We decided to go evergreen after that. It kind of led us down a path of learning way more and investing way more in mentors and courses and masterminds to learn how to be able to optimize and really leverage this business style. And so what that actually led to were other influencers and other people asking Haley and myself, hey, we saw you kind of do this thing and we're interested in this, and we want to know, how'd you learn how to be able to do this?
And so at that point, we thought we found the ticket out of relying on YouTube to pay the bills through AdSense and through these sponsors and through Haley having to be the face of the brand and have these little kids at home where I have to like go to work, which is really just film our life on a daily basis. And so we thought, well, I thought, let's do ads. Ads is the ticket to freedom, and it means I get to work less. Like, everyone thinks this. A lot of our clients or whatever students, they come to us, they're like, well, I'll just start ads. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. And I thought the same thing. Okay, so we got a mentor, we got an ads team. I was creating ads instead of YouTube videos, and we were spending like $50,000 on ads.
Yeah, it was a lot of spend that was there. And so we were able to turn a profit using the ads, but it ended up being like way too much work for what we thought. And the other thing too, and I kind of knew this because I worked in SEO and marketing and stuff, and I told Haley this too, but nobody ever really believes it. But the moment you turn off ads, it's gone.
It's the same thing as YouTube.
There's no traffic that's there. Okay, so you can't just do it forever, or, you know, do it for a couple months and then think it just works forever.
It's a job.
From that point. It's still a job. You have to keep doing them, and you have to keep it up. You have to keep the ad spend coming. Okay, and so that's when we realized the power of organic, and we were like, okay, well, what else is it that we need to do in order to continue to grow and scale our business?
And so we were working with hundreds and almost nearly like 1,000 new YouTubers. And so a lot of them were like, well, how do I make money faster? I had already taught them how to do UGC content. For a lot of people, it's not sustainable because you have to sit on your computer and spam like brands like for hours a day, like I was doing, to replace my income. So I taught them that, taught them about how to get sponsorships as a small YouTube channel. At that point, I was like, what else can I teach these people? Because it was very, very hands-on. And so they're like, well, how do we do courses? So I recommended to a small, like, select group of people that were still like really new YouTubers to just do a course. I didn't teach them how to do it. I was like, you just should do this, because even if you have hardly any following, it's so much more lucrative than waiting around for sponsors. Nowadays, sponsors are super, like, I don't know, oversaturated.
Yeah, super oversaturated.
Harder to
super
get paid.
picky. They don't pay you as much.
Yeah.
I mean, AdSense doesn't pay you as much either, and there's just so many things that can happen. You can't control everything that's there, and that's why Haley made that recommendation to like go out, sell your own thing, and make your own money.
So what was interesting to me, being this like legit full-time YouTuber for years, right, compared to someone that had like 100 subs or 1,000 subs even. So I had over 100,000, right? It's just a different mentality. And so I thought, well, I hope they make some money, but I don't know. I'm not teaching them, and they have a small audience. They actually made 5 to 10 times more the income than those larger YouTubers, get this, with huge followings. I'm talking the 100, 200, 300,000 subscribers. And that is because you take home over probably 90, sometimes 95% of the profits of an online course or digital product, even if it is an ebook or whatever, versus a sponsorship where you take home like 0.0001 or whatever of like what Home Chef gets to take home for obvious reasons. It was like mind blowing to us how much money these smaller YouTubers were making.
So what we ended up doing was taking that and trying to build out a system around those principles. Okay, we were going to teach people how to monetize that knowledge and whatever little audience they might have had to be able to make some type of life-changing income for themselves in a shorter period of time. It wasn't going to take 3, 4, 5 years like a lot of YouTubers take. It's something that can be done in 3, 6, even like 9 months. And it was something that was absolutely mind-blowing to us. And it actually also caught the eye of a lot of other influencers in the industry that came to be able to work with us too. And so we found that really, no matter what the audience size size, no matter what type of influence you have, if you have something that you can teach people, this was something that worked, and that is where our program ICA came about.
But we're not here to, give you a sales pitch on our program. That is not what this video is about.
Yet.
Because
No, I'm just kidding.
because right now, he's such a dude. But right now we want to talk about some of our biggest mistakes and what we would have done differently if starting from zero. By far the biggest mistake I ever made when I started being an influencer, when Doug was still playing Call of Duty. He doesn't play Call of Duty, some nerdy
Final Fantasy 14.
Nerdy video game. I relied mentally and even just with my actions on the fact that having a big audience will make me a ton of money. And while it does that, I actually, in the end it can do that. But I actually now believe that selling your own products will be the most lucrative action that you ever do, no matter the following size. And we know this because we study influencers for a living, and we have a big pool of influencers we worked with, over probably 1,000, 2,000. And the people, the influencers, content creators, they don't even have to have a large influence, but the ones that sell their own products, they make the most money. The ones that just have a big audience, they make the least. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we found this to be true because, again, we worked with people with huge audiences and we worked with people with really small audiences. And when you had the mentality of depending upon the audience, that's where people failed or where people didn't make as much money. Okay, so if you have no audience, your mentality is like, oh, I need an audience. I need to wait till I have 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers before I do anything. And that was your mentality. And if you were a large audience, or if you already had a following that was built, you thought to yourself, well, this is all that I need. I don't need anything else.
Yes.
And both were flaws. But when people came and they talked to us and we talked to them about all the opportunities that they had, they learned, wow, it's not the audience that makes the money. It's the creator. It's the value that you provide. And it's the solutions that you give them through a product or through content or whatever that might be.
The second biggest mistake that we made, which we wouldn't, change this necessarily, maybe, I don't know. You don't regret, you're not supposed to regret things in life. So the second mistake that we ever made was just relying on one online course to pay our bills, which we did this for probably the first year to year and a half. And we really sucked in the idea, like everyone said, or whatever you want to say, that doing an evergreen funnel, which we still recommend depending on people's circumstances, is the ticket to passive income. Okay, so Doug, what's an evergreen funnel?
Yeah, let's clarify two things. So an evergreen funnel means you are not active in the selling process. Okay, you're not saying, hey, my course is open, come check it out. Or you're like, hey, go check out my product, it's in the link in bio. That's active selling. Okay, evergreen means you just have a link that's floating around somewhere, that goes somewhere to a page, that takes them to another page, that takes them to another page to buy something.
Yeah, to a webinar, usually, like a long video where they sell you at the end.
Yes, and so that is the evergreen funnel, and people think that makes passive income. And if you're just listening to this passively, you don't see me doing all the air quotes right here. There's a ton of air quotes. The thing is that people think evergreen, which is that funnel thing that I talked about, and a funnel and low ticket courses are the path to living on the beach in Fiji
working
and
less.
Doing nothing. Okay, and they think they just flip a switch to be able to do that, and that's one of the biggest mistakes you can do, is think it's just a switch and it just instantly works, and that evergreen is the only way. Okay, evergreen still works. It's a good strategy. Like Haley said, it depends on your situation, but the thing is that it's not the same thing for everyone.
And so what a lot of people don't realize is when you choose to do a webinar or a masterclass, people market it in different ways with different lingo. It's all the same thing. It's a long, probably 45-minute to an hour video they sell you at the end. Yes, you can buy and enter your credit card information. The person does get a ding to their phone when they get a sale of $297. That is really cool, but we actually found through doing both low ticket products with an evergreen webinar and higher ticket products that involve more of a sales call, or even if it's not a sales call, it's just more expensive, that doing an evergreen funnel was absolutely the hardest amount of work we've ever put towards our business.
The least passive.
Yeah, so why is that?
It's actually two parts. Okay, the first part is that leads don't just come from nowhere when you're doing a funnel. Okay, the whole idea of a funnel is you get traffic and you send them to a specific page, that link in bio, that link in your description, things like that. That only comes one of two ways. One, you post on social media and you make an audience, okay? Or two, you run a ton of ads. We've done both, okay? So we know that both things are needed to run an evergreen system. The second reason why it was some of the most work you ever had to do is because our product was $297, okay?
Yeah.
We messed with some pricing, further down the line when we learned about this mistake. But starting with a low ticket course, $297, you have to sell more of them. You need more leads, you need more traffic to make more money. And that's the only thing you need to do is mass ton of traffic in order to make a mass ton of money, but it's hard to get that traffic that's all there at that lower price. So think about it. If you're selling a product at $297, okay, to hit 10K a month, you need about 34 sales a month. At first glance, you're like, hey, that's not too bad. 34 sales is okay. But when you find out that through an evergreen process, and these are numbers that we've ran on our own, about 2% of people convert on evergreen funnels. Okay, you need about 2,000 people a month, fresh eyeballs.
New 2,000.
New 2,000 people, not the same 2,000, not 2,000 followers, 2,000 clicks and views on that evergreen funnel page in order to to make that 33 conversions, okay? And that is the hard part, and that's why it's not passive at all. It's not passive. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
So I know you're probably thinking, well, this is the worst. I'm never gonna do a course, okay? No, just hold up. Let me tell you what's better and what we recommend to 80% of our clients right now. So 20% of our clients, they love the grind of social media, just like I did when I was 25 years old and had a little baby at home and had nothing else to do but like watch the baby sleep. I'll be on Snapchat back in the day every single hour. Like, I know. I'll do whatever it takes. You know, I love to do YouTube videos and blogging. Like I had this time, but now we're over 30. You know, I'm 31, whatever. 32, I forget. See, you're already forgetting our age. And we have almost 4 kids, like I said in the beginning. And so right now, I don't want to have to be having my kid watch me film stories 24/7 to get more leads and basically market my product 24/7 to get those fresh thousands and thousands of eyeballs new every single month. And so like I said, what we recommend now, what we would have done, and the point to all of this, if we would have started from zero, is sort of like a hybrid model between low and high ticket, depending on your lifestyle and also depending on like how much time you have to work. So if you don't have a lot of time to work on your business, maybe like an hour or 2 a day, like most people with kids and lives and jobs and sports practices, whatever, then we would do this. So basically what a hybrid model is, we kind of touched on this in our ladder video, which we'll link up here and down below. Basically like, you know, the 7-figure blueprints, we go into much more detail into this, or else this video will be an hour, probably already is. But as far as like what we would do for the hybrid model is it depends again on your circumstance, which is why you shouldn't just buy, in our opinion, a standard business online course without talking to anyone directly, because it really depends on how much money you want to make at the end of every single month, and also how much time you have to give if you're even good at social media, like what you should do. So we give like a personalized plan depending on the person and their family, and like we have to know everything about them to get them success. For most people though, we would recommend starting with high ticket sales, which even if you're a stay-at-home mom who teaches people how to do homeschool, we've had major success with that avatar. You don't have to be some like salesman that like sits on these Zoom calls all day, and you could have like hardly any time, but get to 10K a month within 30 to 60 days, which we have a ton of proof. If you're interested at all, this isn't a sales pitch, but there's a lot of proof there because you need less people, and it's so much easier to talk directly to a person, overcome their objections, and sell them face to face, even in a casual conversation as if you were like sitting with someone at a coffee shop, versus trying to get in the minds of thousands of new leads or new potential customers every single month through like a sales page, which is probably janky because you're not a copywriter, right? And you don't have enough leads, like you don't have enough traffic, or an evergreen webinar. You're just guessing and you don't know. And then like we explained in our ladder video, if you wanted to, it depends, you can create low ticket courses and then upsell them, because you're going to make the most amount of your money if you do some type of coaching in the beginning. You don't have to do it forever, but waiting until your audience grows. And so the way that we structure our business now is how can we make the most amount of money with the least amount of time? And we still do all of these business practices, strategies, whatever, on part-time hours.
So another mistake that we wanted to be able to just touch on really quickly kind of has to do with the waiting for an audience thing. And whether you have an audience or not, one of the biggest mistakes that we made was waiting too long to start selling. Okay. And so what I mean by that is if you have an idea, go out and sell it like tomorrow. And you're gonna be like, Doug, that's crazy. That's wild. I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, there are strategies out there. We talk about a lot about them, strategies to be able to sell almost right away. But the thing that you want to avoid is taking 5, 6, 10, 12 months.
Try years, Doug.
Years to be able to sell your own product, because then you're just not in control of your own income, and you know, it takes too long, time compounds, and all of a sudden 5 years have gone by and you've done nothing. Okay. So if you have the idea, if you have a thought, take action on it now and go out and either try to sell or invest with somebody to teach you how to sell, or do whatever step it takes for you to actually do an action.
Because like I would have tattooed on my forehead, Doug always say, like laughs because I say this all the time, or my tombstone is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a salesman. Okay. And my dad, there's another thing he's told me since infancy, be a salesman and embrace it. Even doctors are salesmen, teachers can be salesmen. The way that you sell your presence or like the solution that you have to embrace it. And so a lot of people are like, I just want to create content. I don't want to sell anything. That's yucky. Especially the Gen Zers on TikTok these days. You're not going to make hardly any money. People who say that, they're not making a lot of money. They're just not, because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to sell. And so if you're just like I did, you know, waiting for 5 years to start selling anything and just relying on and mooching off of these sponsorships, you're going to make so much less money as if you just confront the beast.
And so I think that covers most of the big mistakes that we want to be able to talk about here. But if you really want to go in detail and you really want to go in depth, go down in the description below. We have a link to our 5-day 0 to 100K in 12 months with digital products challenge that actually goes into a lot of these mistakes and what to be able to do instead. So if that's something that interests you, go check it out. Also leave a comment if you guys got questions, concerns, mistakes that you've made of your own. And I think we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye guys.